Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Horror 421, the podcast, with your host, your friendly small-town horror author, Charles Campbell. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the frights in this week's episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 3 of Horror 421, the podcast. I'm your host, small-town horror author, Charles Campbell, and I am so excited that our first guest of the new season is someone that I have admired from afar for a little while. I got introduced to her through the Scream team releasing 1031 films, and this is the first one, and her name is Jennifer Nangle, and she's also known as Malvolia, Queen of Scream. Welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me. Oh my gosh, I didn't know you were knowing me from afar. That's news to me.
Yep. Well, I've seen you in the 1031 movies, so and I've had a couple of guests from those films on the podcast, and I said, why don't I just have the Queen herself on? So,
Exactly. And here we are.
Here we are. We got a lot. Yeah, I have quite a few questions, a lot to talk about, but what I would like for you to do is kind of give our listeners an overview, a little background about yourself, how you got into the horror business and what drove you into horror.
Sure, yeah. I got into acting when I was 10 years old. I started with community theater and went through middle school, high school. I went to college and majored in theater studies. And after I graduated, I took a couple of years off. I did some stage work in Buffalo, New York, and I just wasn't fulfilled or satisfied. So I decided to make the big move out to LA, and here I am. But I grew up in a small town called Danvers, which is right next to Salem, Massachusetts, Salem witches, all that kind of stuff. So, growing up, it was always spooky. It was like Halloween all year round. My father is a huge horror fanatic. My grandmother is a huge horror fan. So it's just kind of in the blood. So when I was in Los Angeles for a couple of years and things weren't panning out the way that I thought it would, I was introduced to self-producing, so making your own projects, writing your own scripts, creating your own work. And I got educated on a sci-fi web series called Guides. And after that was finished up, I was like, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to just plunge right into horror because I love it. I need it. I have to do it. And here we are.
Well, that's awesome. Who are some of your influences, horror? Like, who did you gravitate towards coming up? Even as a child or teenager, what kind of films did you like to watch?
I always liked what was kind of popular. So, Scream was a big thing in high school, if I'm dating myself. But my father was huge into the Universal monsters. So that was always on TV. That was always around. That was always in the background. My grandmother was a huge Hitchcock fan. So I started to kind of delve into Hitchcock Presents and watch all of his, Hitchcock Hour kind of stuff.
Right.
She was also big into vampires. So Anne Rice was always a huge conversation, like over holiday dinners and, what are you reading? What's going on? All that kind of stuff. So I guess a mixture of everything. I was not allowed to watch Elvira.
Oh, so, wow. That's surprising.
I snuck Tales from the Crypt.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I grew up in a very strict Catholic household, so
Gotcha.
She was a little too risque for
I can see some Elvira influence though in Malvolia. I mean, just a little bit.
Well, that was never the goal. If people see that was never done on purpose. Maybe the cleavage and the dark hair, but
right. Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm a dude. That's where I'm going.
That's okay. It is what it is. You gotta sell it however you're gonna sell it. But Malvolia is based off of Morticia Addams and Vampira.
Nice.
The OG, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, nice. Well, I'm dating myself. I'm a little bit older than you, so when I was coming up, it was, Nightmare on Elm Street and Amityville Horror and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And I was a Stephen King kid.
Exorcist.
Yeah, oh
Yep.
God. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Stephen King for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a big Stephen King nut as a kid, which
Yes.
led me into the small town horror author stuff, but
I
I
was going to say,
digress.
as an author, yeah, I'm sure you would delved into all of his books and
Oh
novels and
yeah.
stuff.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, let's talk about how you got involved. And I love these films. These 1031 films. They're great little anthologies. I had Cindy Maples on last season, and we talked about. Yeah,
I
she
love
loves you.
Cindy.
Yeah, she
She's
loves you too.
awesome. Oh,
But
it's mutual.
yep. And I loved, her short, The Hag in 1031. Great,
Fantastic job. Yes.
great
Yeah.
anthology of films. But I want to know, did Malvolia come before 1031, or was that part of 1031? Did you create the character before 1031 showed up, or was that
No.
how it happened?
I actually created the character about, I want to say probably like a year or two. I unveiled Malvolia in 2017.
Okay.
So I think it was about like a year and a half. And I started seeing all this stuff on Facebook about 1031, 1031, 1031. I finished my segment in 1031 and I was like, I want to be cool with the cool kids. I want to be involved in 1031. So I talked to one of the filmmakers and he kind of guided me towards Rocky Gray. And so I just was like, I'm going to send him a message and see what happens. So I did. I messaged him and I was like, hey, I'm a horror hostess. I know that you're finishing up an anthology. If you need any little extra bits or if you, want me to host it, I am more than happy to be a part of this project. And I got a response where, well, we're pretty much done with the project. Thank you very much. Maybe on the next one. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. And then I want to say maybe like a less than a month later, a couple weeks later, he messaged me and he was like, hey, would you like to do maybe like a little bit of an intro and outro? And I was like, yes, I would. And that's how I got involved.
Well, it truly makes the movies better because after
Thank
the
you.
first one, I look forward to Malvoya's intros and exits during these films. So you did a great job with those.
Thank
Um,
you very much.
and,
Thank
and
you.
these are part of my Halloween rotation. So, guys, you go to screamteamreleasing.com and pick up these films if you want to check them out. But they're all anthologies and they're fun watches around Halloween. So we're going to fast forward a little bit. I was like, kind of a lot I want to cover here. You have a labor of love out there right now. And I want to thank you for sending me a cut that I could watch, and I really enjoyed it. But let's go ahead and talk about Body Count a little bit. It's an anthology feature for you guys out there, and I believe she does have DVDs available. I'll put all that stuff in the links below so you can check it out. But I really enjoyed the films, and I definitely want to talk about some of the stories in particular without giving too much away. I don't want to spoil anything. But tell me how you came about putting together Body Count. What drove you to make that film, and tell me about the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it for you.
Oh, this was an adventure for me for sure. I completed 6 seasons of Malvolia. And, for the first couple of seasons, she was hot. Like people were into her. I had an easy time, getting reviews. I had an easy time of getting into other people's projects, like hosting and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. And then we started to kind of get a little dried up.
Right.
And I understand that you always have to kind of reinvent yourself and you always have to put something new out there. And I understood that the complete 6 seasons that I do have out there are pretty much redundant. They are the same things over and over and over again. And so I was getting a little kind of frustrated that I wasn't, moving forward. I was also, I wanted to create more. I wanted to be a part of things more.
Right.
And I was like, how can I, show that I can do a lot of things and I'm not just this one character. I am a fully trained actress and I can play villains. I can play best friends. I can play anything. And how can I show that? And so I also wanted to showcase that I can host an entire film.
Right.
I can creatively do things on my end, and I can be a respectable director. A lot of people just look at me as an actress and a horror hostess. I'm a director and a producer as well. So I'm that type of person that's like, well, I'm going to show you And so that's how
Well,
body count
yeah,
came
well,
up.
I completely enjoy Body Count, and you did show a wide range, for sure. I love the wraparound story,
Thank you.
that Malvolia drove. So, there is a wraparound story, and then the stories are in the middle, and she kind of ties it up at the end. But talk about some of that range, attacking the wolf, Genevieve, that character, that showed, without spoiling too much of the story, that showed a vulnerable person who had been taken advantage of, and you kind of turn the tables a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit about what went into making Attacking the Wolf? And I believe you actually did you write that one? I think you wrote that one.
Yes, that is
Okay.
my baby. I wrote, directed, produced, and acted
Yeah,
in it.
you
Yeah.
did you wrote a lot of it and you directed most of it, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure I get the facts right. You did write this one, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Can you
Thank you.
talk to me a little bit about that particular story and how it came to be? And you did a really good job acting in it, so I thought it was
Well, thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you. Acting is therapy for me.
Yeah.
It's a way of me creatively getting out frustrations or situations that I've been through. I was on another podcast, and the host asked me, what is your influences? What do you like to write about? And I'm like, I
Mhm.
like to write about real life. So Attacking the Wolf, while it was loosely based on the interview of Marilyn Monroe, The Wolves I Have Known, I believe it was 1963. Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
don't come for me. Don't cancel me if I'm wrong. But she did an interview about how she was treated in the industry. And so it just kind of, revved up a lot of feelings and emotions that I have about how I have been treated in the industry. And so I just formed this story of, things.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it in different ways, like, going into a job and then, being at the top and then being fired or something like
Right.
that. So I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, even though it is based on, acting in the industry, in the movie, genre, whatever. But so
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's where it kind of came
oh,
from.
it
Yeah.
showed vulnerability, and it kind of showed a lady that was down on her luck where she had been very successful at one time, and then they tried to chew her up and spit her out, but she wasn't going to have that in the end.
Yes.
And
Yes.
one of the lines I liked, and that and it's not going to give away into the plot, but you played an actress in this role, and one of the lines I thought was funny, made me laugh a little bit, was "Vampires are nocturnal creatures. What we shot makes no sense." And
Thank you.
I was thinking that when I watched it, I was like, "What the hell? How's a vampire here right now?" But hey, it was good.
In that particular scene, I mean, I had to make everything make sense too,
Right.
and I knew that we were going to have to shoot during the day, so I specifically wrote the script for what we were going to have to go through for
Right.
filming it. But at the same time, it's like she's in a very tense position, and to get back at somebody is to try and put them down where it really hurts. And so that was kind of my idea of how that was. But yeah, I mean, why were we in the sunlight? He would have been
Exactly.
melted by now.
Yeah,
It's dust.
it would have poofed, been gone. And staying on the vampire theme, another story I particularly enjoyed, and it keeps going back and forth in my head whether or not this was my favorite out of all the stories because I enjoyed all of them. But I did
Mhm.
enjoy Holly Hatchet, and in
Yeah.
my head I'm like Holly Hatchet, the vampire hunter. That's what I was thinking. But tell me how that character came about, and from a writer's perspective, I'm always interested in what other writers and their process. And I don't remember if you wrote this story or not, but doesn't matter. I still want to know your process of how you create you know what makes your brain tick when you sit down and write and come up with a character and a story. But we can also talk about Holly Hatchet a little bit.
Yeah. Holly Hatchet is definitely a fan favorite. Everybody's really enjoying that one. And it's fun. It's fun because it has a lot of dark comedy. It's kind of out there. It's not super serious. You can
Right.
really enjoy it. I did not write that one. A writer, Eric Larson, he wrote that one.
Okay.
Eric Lawson. He wrote that one. And it was kind of based on Ash and the Evil
Evil Dead.
Dead.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
the TV show? That the TV show is
Yeah.
called
Yeah.
Ash and the
Yeah.
Evil
Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah.
So he was watching that, and he
Ash
got
versus Evil
inspiration
Dead,
from
but yeah.
Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Yes, And he got inspiration from that. And I also only directed the last half of that. I didn't direct the first half. Another director, Richard Trejo, he directed that. And the special effects artist, Julie Happney, she came up with the kind of 80s feel of the vampires and stuff like that. And I just knew for my character as Holly, I needed to make her different than all the other characters that we were doing. So that's why I put the red wig on. And, I got the inspiration from Jessica Biel and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2004. Her kind of vibe, her kind of feel.
That's one of my actually favorite movies, and a lot of people don't give that movie a lot of love because it's a reimagining or remake or whatever you want to call it. But I thought it was a great film.
I agree. That freaked me out. That whole beginning of that movie freaked me out. Like I had to stop it and then go back and rewatch it. So yes, I'm with you on that.
It's sitting on the DVD shelf. I'm staring at it. So yeah, that's a great movie. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm gonna go back to the writer's hat. I write a lot of novels. I've got number 14 coming out later this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I'm always interested in other writers and their perspectives and how they come up with what they come up with. So kind of take me through your process. And I know it's probably not the same for every project, but generally speaking, what do you do when you put your writer's hat on? Because you've written some good stuff from what I see so far. I want to know how you do what you do as a writer.
Thank you, because I never wanted to be a writer. This was never in the cards. Like when I moved to LA, I just strictly wanted to act. I didn't want to do anything else. And then I rudely found out and quickly found out that if you want to get stuff done, you have to really do it yourself, or else you have to have a lot of money to pay people, and I don't. Right. So I kind of got thrown into the writer's room per se. And again, I usually write off of, personal experiences and stuff like that. Some things that I write, I've already envisioned in my head exactly how I want it to go, how I want it. I did a short film called Slit, which is not out anywhere. Nobody's really ever seen it. It's been a couple film festivals, but it's not out there. And I completely envisioned that whole short in my head before I sat down and wrote it. I had the shots, I had the ideas, I had everything that I wanted to do, and I sat down and wrote it. But then there's other ones where I wrote The Deal. The Deal went viral. I just got a little bit of information from a friend. I actually wrote that piece for him for his reel, and we were going to shoot it and see what happened. And then I ended up writing myself in it. And then we ended up, going viral on YouTube, which was fantastic.
That's awesome.
So I guess it just kind of depends on like the moment and what's going on and how I'm feeling emotionally. And, what the project calls for. I do have a writing mentor, and he always tells me, you're always going to be rewriting. You're always going to be rewriting. Even if it's the morning of the shoot, you may be rewriting. If it's halfway through the shoot, you may have to rewrite this scene to match the location that you have. Right. And so it's always work in progress.
Yeah. Well, I've never attempted to write a screenplay or anything like that. I've had quite a few directors on the show and people who've written screenplays, and that's something that I may want to try one day in the future. I don't know if I'm up to it. I know rewriting a novel is kind of I don't know. It's kind of dreadful sometimes because you go back and you kind of rework everything, and sometimes I pull whole chapters out. Anyway, I digress. But writing a screenplay sounds like something that may be fun to do.
It's funny. The many screenplays that I have read, I mean, some are very detailed. Like I just was sent one just a couple days ago where I'm reading it and it's reading like a novel, very specific, like what this character looks like, what the room looks like, what the room smells like, what music is playing, all that kind of stuff. Or then I can also get screenplays that are very basic and it's just very general, and it's so I guess it just kind of depends on the writer. I guess it depends on the project. To be honest with you, I just say for you, it's just a different way of format for writing it. So
I guess maybe one day I'll try it out.
2024 goal.
Yeah. Well, I've got a book that I've got a director friend. We're gonna collaborate in the future and try to put an anthology together with that. So we'll see what happens. It's called Horror 421: The Road to Terror. For you people out there, you can pick up the book and check out the stories. But
Yeah.
anyway, you are so diverse as an actor, actress, whatever, however you want to be called. I don't know what politically correct is as an actor,
I'm fine with
actress.
either.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with either.
But in one of the things that jumps out in my head that really hits that home is you played like a hero character. You played someone that's super vulnerable, and then Let Them Eat Cake. You played one obnoxious, just this obnoxious lady who kind of knew it all and was kind of snooty. Tell me how that story came to be. I enjoyed that story. You guys check out Body Count. Watch all of them, but Let Them Eat Cake was. I don't know why it was so funny to me, but it was hilarious.
That was actually the point, and I'm glad that it went that way, because it could be taken either way. People could be like, what was that? Or enjoyable. So when I was putting Body Count together, I knew I couldn't tackle writing all of the segments. So I put a Facebook post out, asking people to specifically write, or if they already had, in their archives or whatever. I wanted each segment to have somebody that was evil, somebody that was mean, cruel, because I kind of wanted to keep that Queen Malvolia thing rolling through.
Right.
There had to be a kill of some kind.
Right.
And that was all I put out there. And my best friend Charles was like, well, I'm really interested in maybe writing a segment for Body Count. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. And his first question to me was, do you can you die, or does somebody else have to die? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let you do whatever you want to do. And so it just kind of took its path. And so he wrote it. It's hysterical. We had a blast. We shot it in less than 8 hours. It was a good time.
Yeah, and it does involve cupcakes, so you guys check that out.
Yes, it does.
It's definitely involved.
Fun fact, a couple days before we were about to shoot that, I found out that I have an egg allergy. So we had to go out and find some vegan cupcakes for me to specifically eat. And then they were making other cupcakes in the scene, and we couldn't mix those up.
I don't know how many times you had to do retakes or anything like that, but I hope you guys didn't have to eat too many cupcakes.
I smelt chocolate for a very long time. For all you viewers out there, I smelt chocolate for like days.
Nice. And then there's a character that's been, portrayed many different ways in many different genres and many different movies and many different TV shows. But Tear You Apart, we have Lily and we have someone else I don't want to mention. I don't want to spoil the story, but tell me a little bit about that and how that came together. I'm kind of highlighting all the stories in Body Count so people can get a feel for what they're in for when they order the movie or watch it wherever they can watch it.
For sure. So Christine Twyman, she's the one that wrote Tear You Apart. I believe it's based off of the song. But she that was all her. She I know she wanted to do something with kind of like magic. At first we had talked about another scenario, which I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. It was like a woman that would poison people or kill people for something of them. And then she just kind of took her little twist upon it. Okay. And then she added that extra element to it. But she was my only other female writer on this project. And so I really, really appreciated having her do this and write this, because I felt like it definitely gave a little extra oomph to the stories.
Yeah, it was like I said, all the stories were great. So guys, I'll put links below where you can pick up the DVD if it's available now, or when it becomes available again. I'll make sure that I put it down there. I know Jennifer had it out on Facebook and social media earlier, but it's worth picking up. It's worth watching. So make sure, if you can, pick up a copy of Body Count. Great anthology movie. All right. Well, now I do want to get into a couple other things. I did watch a few things on Tubi, that that you recommended, and I think the favorite thing that I've seen was the little short you did in Book of Creatures, The Cost of Living.
Mm,
That was really, really, really good, and that one really, really
thank
sticks
you.
out in my head. Why do you say it like that? Did someone say it
Oh my
wasn't?
gosh, let me tell you the story. Okay.
Okay.
So there's a filmmaker out here in LA that hit me up and said, I'm putting this horror anthology together. I'm basing it off of, holidays throughout,
Hmm.
the year. I only have it was like New Year's, Valentine's Day, and something else available. Are you interested in making a short and being a part of the project? And I was like, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And so I picked Valentine's Day because I don't know, I just never really thought horror and Valentine's Day, but I thought it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I raised some money for it. I didn't have a lot of money to work off of. Yeah, so I created Cost of Living. When it came down to distribution, moving forward, I got eliminated from the project because they didn't think that it was good enough.
Oh, get the hell out of here! I watched that
So
whole thing, that Book of Creatures. I watched all the stories, and actually, not because you're on the podcast, that was my favorite one out of all of
yeah,
them.
well, I that actually got placed into another
Oh.
so this isn't the same one. This is a
Oh,
different one.
okay.
So I was
Okay.
able to place it into another horror
Oh, okay.
anthology. But the
Cool.
other one, yeah. Hope y'all are hearing that.
Well, there's something else that kind of made me raise an eyebrow because I mean, you've been acting with a heavy hitter too. I mean, you had Mike Ferguson in that.
Uh-huh. Yes.
So what was
His
it
little
working?
cameo.
Yeah, his cameo is still, he was in it. What was it like working with that guy? And he was in Amityville Karen too, if I remember right.
Oh
Seen that?
yeah, I've worked on a couple things with Mike. He's definitely a ball of energy. And you get what you see. That's him. That is Mike. I've never worked on anything like real serious with him, so I've never really seen him like, very um serious actor. It's always been
Right.
fun and playful and stuff like that, but he's just a character. Just a character.
Well, I follow him on Instagram, and I mean, he looks legit fun to work with. I mean, I like to hang out with the guy. And I know if
He's nonstop. He goes,
oh yeah,
goes,
I
goes,
bet.
goes, 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 goes.
Oh.
You'll want to take a nap in between, and he won't let you. Very sweet guy, though. Yeah.
Oh, geez. And another movie I watched on TV, and I just brought it up, but it was batshit crazy. And you can tell it is from the title. I just said it a couple seconds ago. Amityville Karen. What the hell? Who came up with that?
So I was brought on to Amityville Karen last minute. I'm gonna be honest. So I didn't really know very much about the project. But it was between Sean C. Phillips and Julianne Prescott. That was their project. And so I got the script like a week before, and I just showed up to set, and I got a scene with James Duval and just acted, and then got killed and left.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know it was a short part, but the movie was crazy. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
it was crazy funny. I really enjoyed it. Oh, geez. So I'm gonna ask you another question. Have you been to a lot of horror conventions? Do you do that scene? Have you have you been signing things at tables, or have you gone as a visitor? Tell me about your
Yeah.
horror convention experience.
So this past 2023, I decided that that's what I wanted to venture into. I wanted to kind of expand my reach because being a horror hostess on YouTube is awesome. But at the same time, I'm shadow banned. I only reach a certain percentage. There's only so far that I go. That and my Instagram is all
Right.
shadow banned. So I was like, well, what can I do to get out there? How can I reach more people? And so I was like, yeah, I want to do the horror convention. So I went to Creep Icon back in February of 2023, and that was pretty successful. I got like a lot of followers, and we held a little contest, and it was fun. It was great meeting people and being like, this is who I am. This is
Yeah.
what I've been portraying for the past 6 years. Check me out. There are 6 seasons you can indulge. And fast forward to a couple months later, I signed with an appearance manager. And so he got us at Days of the Dead, LA. We went to Creep Icon. There was one more. Oh, this is my brain. So sorry, but there was another one that we went to last year, and then
Was it Mad
yes,
Monster?
no, it wasn't Mad Monster. It was somewhere. We just stayed in LA.
Oh, okay.
But he's been trying to pitch us to other ones all over the country, and so I don't know what's going on for 2024. We're supposed to have a meeting in the next couple of weeks to figure out like what's the game plan, what are we doing. I do really want to go to Gross Fest, which is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in August. That's kind of a
Nice.
goal for me if I just go by myself. But so yeah, I've been kind of venturing out in there, and it's
Well,
a
that.
crazy world, that horror convention land.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I'm a regular at Days of the Dead in Atlanta, and I'll be there on January 26th, 27th, and 28th. But that'll be after this podcast airs. We're airing on Groundhog's Day. But anyway,
Hey,
I
hey.
I love uh, the Days of the Dead convention. I get a lot of new readers every time I go, and it's nice meeting different people and just all the weird characters that walk by. So I love
Very
going
much
to those.
so.
Yep, yep.
Very much so.
And I get to meet, horror celebrities that I've always wanted to meet and interact with. So, and this year at Days of Dead in Atlanta, they have Alyssa Sutherland. She played the mom in Evil Dead Rise. So I can't wait to
Yes, she
chat
was
with
in
her.
LA. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Walked by a couple times. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go chat with her. I'm gonna see if I can get her on the podcast. We'll
Yeah,
see.
fingers crossed, fingers
We'll
crossed.
see. Well, you don't know until you ask. I mean, we did get David Howard Thornton on here a couple years ago, or 2 years ago before Terrifier 2 blew up. Now
Blew
you
up.
can't get anybody on the podcast, but I digress. So you mentioned it a couple times, and I don't want to end this podcast without bringing it up and letting you talk about it. Is your YouTube channel, the Malvolia YouTube channel? You have six. Did you say 6 seasons? I need to catch up on it myself. I haven't had time to sit there and look at it, other than subscribing to it. But tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about the Malvolia YouTube channel.
Yeah, so Malvolia is a character that I started creating in 2016, and originally she was gonna be like in she was a actress, horror hostess in a found footage film. And as I was writing the film, I was like, well, I was also going through a Blair Witch Project, phase. And I was like, I want to make a reel. Wouldn't it be cool if I already have like a fan base? And once this movie comes out, then it could all be, merge together
Right.
and everybody would be like, oh, Malvolia, oh. And what happened was I brainstormed with my boyfriend and we came up with this very iconic picture to, release her into the world. And I teamed up with a couple of horror bloggers to, get the word out that there was a new vixen in town, Malvolia, the Queen of Screams, and I'd be hosting horror short films in the indie world, plus
Right.
doing skits. And that was going to be like my channel. And I was ready for people to be like, oh, she's copying Elvira. Oh, she's like, she just wants to be like this. Oh, that's so unoriginal. And it didn't. It was the complete opposite.
Nice.
Like there were people that weren't even horror fans that were into the character. And so I was like, oh no, I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't planning on any of this.
Right. Right.
So if you watch season 1, it's a little murky because I honestly was like, I'm just going to do some like really cool YouTube trends and host some horror films, and then I was going to be done.
Right.
So that's why it's kind of a little disjointed. But once you get into season 2, it's such a blast. Our Halloween specials are always the biggest, the most fun. It's definitely horror Halloween related. And yeah, this season, unfortunately, because I was so involved with, finishing up Body Count, that we just got a Halloween special out this
Right.
year. So that's why I say we have like 6.5 seasons out. But I am working on some other episodes to possibly release, in February. But because usually I start my season like September, October, and then
Right.
just end it at the end of the year. So yeah, Malvolia, she's evil, she's mean, she's cruel, she kills a lot of victims, she drinks victims' blood. And it's an absolute blast. I have such a great time. She's
Well,
just so fun to play.
I'll definitely put a link, like I said, in the notes below, so you guys can go watch Malvolia in action. I'm definitely going to catch up on her, for sure. I've subscribed, but now I have to actually go watch the videos. So definitely going to do that. I tried to do my homework the best I could to catch up on what you have going on now.
There's a lot of Malvolia, you know, like some episodes might be 5 minutes, some are like 20. So, I mean, totally understandable that you didn't get to it.
Well, I will definitely make it a point to get to it for sure. Now from a entertainment perspective, outside of film, are there any other genres of horror that you gravitate towards? Do you read horror novels by chance? Or do you know, what is your spare time, what you do for fun around the horror realm?
Oh my gosh, do people do that? Like, I don't really have a lot of spare time and have a lot of fun. I'm
Yeah,
usually
people do
working.
that. Yeah. Well, it sounds like it. Sounds like it.
But I do love watching anything horror. You know, I'll scroll through Tubi, Netflix, you name it. I watch all my peers' work that's out there. I really try to keep up with the Joneses and see like what's going on and you know who's working with who and what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
But as far as like reading, I like more like mystery, true crime. That's my jam than horror. But I have done, you know, almost said to Steven Spielberg. Oh my God, my brain. Stephen King, you know, Gone Girl,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, you know. So
Well, the
yeah.
only murder mystery I have out is called what the hell is it called? I've written so many books that it's crazy, but it's called Midnight Rider. It came out a couple years ago. There's a killer in the valley. So for my readers out there, if you haven't checked that one out, go check it out. No one has
I'm
guessed
gonna
who
check it out.
no one has guessed who the killer is so far, or no one has
No
lied on
one?
it. No one has lied on the Amazon review and said they guessed it either until it's revealed. So pretty
Okay,
proud of
game
that one.
on.
Pretty proud of
Game
that one.
on. Yeah, that's really good. Because I'm usually that person that like sees it,
Yeah.
totally sees it,
Yeah.
you know? So, all right,
Well,
game is on.
I've fooled a lot of people. All right. Well, we're getting towards the end of the podcast. What I want to do is let you talk about anything you have coming out, where they can find you on social media, where they can buy copies of Body Count, and anything else you want to plug. I'm also going to put any links you provide me in the liner notes below so people can click right on them. So they don't have to write down what you're saying, but I want you to share with the world that listens to Charles Campbell and Horror 421, the podcast, what you got.
Yeah. So you can follow Malvolia at Queen Malvolia on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Like I said, I'm trying to get some episodes together to be hosting some OG public domain horror movies. But as far as anything else with her, I'm just kind of waiting on some things. You can follow me at Jennifer_Nangle on Instagram. And wait, I said Twitter. It's not Twitter anymore. It's X. You can follow me there. I really haven't been very active since it's turned to X. But, you know, if you want to indulge in some past stuff, or on Facebook, I'm Jennifer Nangle. As far as Body Count is concerned, I'm still waiting on distribution. We're still kind of like I'm shocked. I've been waiting since November, so I wish I had better news to tell y'all. But if anybody is interested in a DVD or Blu-ray, you want to purchase it, as of right now, you just have to contact me directly. You can contact me through Facebook or Instagram. And I am starting to work on my next feature. It is not really horror. It's more murder, mystery, true crime.
Nice.
And it is called Duplicitous. And the Indiegogo will be releasing in February. So this is perfect that you're hearing it now.
Nice.
So if you want to check that out, that's gonna be a wild ride because I do need a good chunk of money to get that rolling. So in the past, I haven't really fundraised very well. I made Body Count on like 4K, and for Duplicitous, I need at least 10K. Right. So that may be a little bit of a work in progress, but it is a wild ride. It is so much fun, and again, I'd be amazed if people knew what the ending was. Gregory Blair. He is a writer, director, producer. He wrote that script for me. So, yeah. So that's what's going on. What's the future holding, and We can always be friends on social media.
Okay, cool. Well, I will definitely put what I can in the liner notes. And guys, remember, she said if you want a copy of Body Count, contact her directly. So you can message her through Instagram or Facebook, and Jennifer will make sure that you can get a copy. So she'll work that out with you individually. But it's worth watching. Pick it up. I'm definitely going to pick up a copy. So you guys do the same. And I am a small town horror author, Charles Campbell. My latest book came out this past Halloween. It's called The Piano Witch. You can go to valleyboypublications.com and check it out. I've got 13 other books you can check out while you're there. Have a new one coming out probably in the summer. It's called Signature A Cut Above. It's about a crazy hairstylist. That's all I'll say.
Ooh.
But you can follow me on Instagram under Charles Campbell Author. We do have a Horror 421 the podcast Facebook page. I also host a musicians only podcast called Backstage 421. So if you're into musicians, check me out there. But guys, we really love your support. And Jennifer, thank you so much for being the very first guest of season 3. Thank you so much.
Season 3. 3 is
Season
my
3.
lucky number, so I take that as a good sign.
Awesome. Well, this is Groundhog's Day, so we're going to have 6 more weeks of horror and murder and blood and all that stuff. So it was a great time. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
We hope you had a horrific time, lovelies. Thank you for tuning in to Horror 421, the podcast. Be sure to like us on YouTube and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.